All right. Amazing. Right, so I'll get started. So, hey everyone, I'm Padmini Soni and super excited to welcome you all today to today's Innovate and Advance series. We have our very own version of a Halloween treat for you today. We'll be diving into a very interesting topic with Ambika, idea to MVP in 30 days. Um, Uvika will introduce our amazing speaker, but just before that, a few quick housekeeping notes. Our speaker will be presenting for about 30-35 minutes, and then that'll be followed by a Q&A. So please hold on to your questions until then or drop them in chat as they come up. And please keep yourself on mute during the session to just minimize the background noise. With that, I'll hand it over to Uvika to introduce our speaker. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Padmini. As Padmini said, I'm super excited to co-host the session with her today. We have Ambika Sharma. She is a dynamic technology leader at Google Cloud, where she heads the SMB sales practice for the United States and Canada. She has over 2 decades of experience driving business transformations through AI, cloud innovation, and cybersecurity. And Ambika has helped countless enterprises reimagine what's possible in the digital era. It's certainly an interesting time. A Google Cloud certified professional cloud architect and a machine learning engineer, she blends deep technical expertise with strategic insights to design and execute high impact go to market strategies that accelerate growth across diverse industries. And her leadership consistently fueled innovation, expanded market reach, and delivered measurable business outcomes. And beyond the leadership stuff that she does, she is very passionate for technology-driven impact, initiatives, and it also extends into sustainability and social innovation. She co-founded a startup that focused on generating clean energy for developing countries, combining her entrepreneurial drive with a commitment to creating better, more equitable world. And I think that startup was acquired by, was it Google, Ambika, or was it something else? But it's super fascinating, and she truly exemplifies the spirit of innovation with purpose. And she's a leader who everybody needs to follow. And with that, I'm going to hand over the stage to you, Ambika. We are so excited. So thank you so much for coming and doing a session for our amazing audience.
No, thank you so much, Uvika and Padmini. I'm very grateful to be here on this excellent forum. I think the work that you guys are doing is amazing to empower and grow women in this field. So kudos to you all for actually taking this on forward. And I'm doing this. It's such a good intimate crowd today. So I'd love for all of us to be able to interact, use the chat feature. I'm happy to take questions in between or at the end, like whatever you all prefer. So let's make the most of this time together. Fun fact, today is my daughter's first Halloween. She is 7 weeks old. So yeah, so it's been a fun day, and I had to leave her with her dad, and I'm doing this here. So I want to make the most of this and make this such a cherished occasion for all of us. So
Thank you so much, though,
Sure.
for doing this.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
of course, no, happy to. So let's get started. Over the next couple of minutes, I have a few slides just to anchor the discussion, but the experience can go beyond the slides as well. So I will be sharing stuff that will talk about customers that I have encountered across my journey at Google as an advisor as well. So there's going to be a variety of different things that we delve into. But before we start, let me quickly, is everybody able to see my screen? Yes. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So I wanted to ask you all today, before we, jump into the meat of the topic, what's holding you back today? So if you're working on an idea, if you're thinking of a business product today, or if you're thinking about bringing your solutions to market, what is it that's holding you back? Like, are you seeking the right product market fit? Is it access to tools that you're stuck with? Are you finding it hard to find the right partnerships? Is it funding? Where is everybody at? If you could just drop in like alphabets. Okay, see, need for technical partners, I see that from Tara. Thanks, Tara. What about the rest? Okay, access to right partnerships, fantastic, Evan. All right. We've got about 13 people on the call, so we should get okay. Skepticism about AI, fair point, Padmini. A and C, a combination. I like that. PMF, okay. Product market fit. Yep. Yes, Yuvika, that's a good one. A, all right. Product market fit as well. Fantastic. So it looks like it's a good combination of a little bit of everything that we're seeing. So over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to briefly touch on each of them. And if you want to zoom in, we've always got the Q&A section, and we can zoom in on specific sections as well. So let's get started. Now, when we think about innovation, you think about innovation in a variety of different ways. So just like how your problems are varied as a collective group, innovation could mean different things for each of you as well. It could mean the right team. It could mean the right product market fit. It could mean the right goals and KPIs to measure the right product fit. It could mean access to the right tools and partnerships as well. So when you think about it, over the course of the presentation, my presentation is going to be a little bit more generic. So isolate out which problem area you're seeking to get more on, and we can take questions on those as well as we go along. Now, different types of companies have innovated very differently. We have Spotify, which follows a customer driven innovation plan, wherein they are looking at peer to peer music sharing, making that a seamless and easy to integrate experience. For McDonald's, it was more about finding the most efficient and effective path to get you that meal in the shortest amount of time with the best quality. For IBM, it was a whole different field, and they've continued to innovate as the world changes into AI as well, starting from making banking machines all the way to now making chips and a whole host of different things. For SpaceX, it was about disrupting a category that had never been disrupted before. So when you think about innovation and you see these examples on the screen, see how different they are, how different consumers are interacting with each of these businesses as well, and how each company has continued to iterate in their own specific swim lanes, but continue to push their boundaries in there. Now, when you think about ideas to MVP, there are a variety of different ways that you can go, right? It always starts with an idea. You're going to build something, and then you're going to make sure that you're getting the right feedback from customers. You're learning from that feedback. You're measuring the right KPIs, and then you are going back in a circle to create an iterative loop to continue to make your product better for the right customer. So it typically follows one of these three structures, and it's never going to be a linear path. Let me tell you that, right? So when you're thinking about going from an idea to a finished product, I'm going to talk to you about how you can do that in a period of 30 days. But think about the cornerstones of success, right? Don't go and be that person that is building in isolation. A lot of startups and businesses have failed when they just build in isolation and they don't take feedback from anyone. So make sure that when you're building, start with a clear defined goal that you're going to build for, and make sure you're seeking the right customer feedback early on. Now, when you're thinking about it, you're going to have to start off with the right hypothesis, right? So you're going to choose the right variable components that you're going to be building with. You're going to think about what is the cause and effect, right? If I put this button on my website, what effect will it have for my customers? If I create a design flow which involves the user interacting in 5 steps, how will that create a meaningful business practice for my end user? Now, if I am building if I'm a retail company and I'm building a website for shoppers for Christmas, I want to be able to make sure that my Christmas collateral's up front, right? You want to make sure that your design, your product follows logic that is relevant for your end customer. Now, then you also have to make sure that you have the right metrics to track what you're doing. So when I'm building my website, if I'm a retail business and I've come up with all of the design features ahead of Christmas, I want to be able to track how many people are actually spending time on my website, what they're actually doing, and how are they working towards a structured and seamless flow to make sure that my IT team knows what to go back and iterate on as well for future. So once you've got your broad design principles nailed, you want to be able to put yourself in the feet of a customer and try and understand how can your experience be made seamless as a customer while you're being the builder of the product. And that's the hard part. Not a lot of people can get out of that build mindset to be able to think about, what their customer will want, for which I encourage you all to at least get feedback from 10 customers before you actually go to market with anything. Everybody still with me? All right. And all this will happen as you go through the process. You continue to have to prioritize, reprioritize. The number of times we've gone to the drawing board with very large companies and very small companies. I mean, you iterate on as you go. So make sure that you have that time for iteration as well. Now, when you think about generative AI, I'm going to share with you some of the top use cases across 24 and for 2025 as well. In 2024, we saw a lot of businesses reach out and want to build AI products and tools, but they didn't know what they wanted to build for. So they were looking for ideas because AI was still relatively new. We had the discussion of agents, but not quite there yet. So people were still wanting to use AI for their businesses, but mainly for generation of ideas. The next piece was more for therapy, right? I'm feeling X. How do I come out of it? We saw a lot of that therapy and companionship related queries and use cases as well. Uh, very, very sensitive topic, but it is an area that has to be dealt with, extreme caution as well if you're building anything around the mental health and well-being space, because AI is a fantastic tool, but we want to make sure that it's being used responsibly as well. So that's a quick disclaimer that I'd like to give you when we're talking about this use case. We have a lot of specific search related queries and use cases as well. So I'm going to share an example from a customer that we worked with that has changed the way search works on their website. It's a very large news corporation in America. And there you'll see an example of how that has fundamentally changed just the way their customers behave and how engaging their website is. A lot of times AI was used in 24 for editing text. I mean, quick show of emojis. How many of you have used AI to write an email or draft out a response, right? I think that is one of the things that most of us have engaged and encountered with. Exploring topics of interest. So I'm probably going to be traveling later this year, and I want to find a location and a hotel that will be friendly for my newborn baby. So, those topics of interest around travel saw its own peak, and a lot of travel agencies saw a whole bunch of peaked interest. Now, when we come into 2025, the therapy, companionship related searches continue. So that continues to be one of the top use case that businesses are building for and startups are building for. Organizing life. I want to come up with cooking recipes. I want to come up with cleaning and organizing for fall. I want to make sure that my family has the best holidays. I want to make sure I'm gifting the right kind of gifts to the right individuals based on their interest. All those related queries are peaking. And that has given a very interesting chain reaction to the retail industry for planning out these holiday seasons and planning ahead for the holiday season as well. Finding purpose. A lot of people are using AI to come up with business plans and business ideas around milestones. So, I'm X years old. What do the top milestones in this age look like, or what else could I be seeking? Versus, so it's kind of like a self-introspection tool as well. And we've seen some businesses come up in that space. Enhanced learning, of course. I mean, a lot of code today is being written by AI, and a lot of code today is being generated by AI. At Google, most of our search algorithms, about 60% of them have a touch point with AI today in some shape or form. So companies like ours are using it, and I'm sure like most of the hyperscalers out there are as well. Generating code. I mean, it's not taking away from your basic computer science degree. That is still something that's relevant for the industry. But when you're thinking about use cases around faster deployment, seamless deployment, you are seeing a lot more code being written by AI as well. So that's another use case that we continue to see in 2025. Any thoughts, any questions here? Any specific one that piques your interest, folks? Feel free to come off mute and we can have a chat.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of curious what the overlay is on 2024, exploring topics of interest. Looks like it just fell away. There's a period after it, I guess. But then down below, number 9, you have personalized learning. But then at 2025, number 4 is enhanced learning.
Mhm.
And I wonder if people kind of change from exploring topics of interest to actually creating their own learning paths or a way to explore their areas of interest, but then kind of teach others about that.
No, absolutely. Fantastic question. It definitely does start by exploring the topic of interest. It ties in beautifully with, okay, what does that topic of interest mean for me? So I'll give you an example. I was talking to a company not so long ago, which was trying to build out learning paths for students. So let's say I'm a student in grade 1 and I want to be an engineer. So what's the path for me? What subjects should I be taking? What should my curriculum paths and plans be? It was a use case that was going to then be placed within education bodies as well. So it started out as, oh, I like machines, I like toys that have a mechanical inkling to it. How does that translate into a degree? So that got personalized into the field of engineering, and then it came up with a pathway for that student as well. So that's one of the ways how this is getting, from just an idea exploration to a personalized journey perspective. And here's a business that's actually trying to test that out. um, but then again, like, resources are unlimited as far as it goes when you are building and mapping for all topics of interest. So what's missing and why this business didn't do well was the focus. So you can't just have like a topic of interest or a career path that you're wanting to explore, and that's where things didn't go through very well for them. So while going into this education topic, I'd encourage you, Tara, and you probably have experienced this as well. There's a lot that you can go after. What are you grounding that model in? So that's another piece worth thinking about as well, if you haven't already.
So just a quick clarification. Can you, when you say what are you grounding that model in, just kind of reiterate what you mean by that?
Sure. It depends on what the model is being used for. So the example that I gave, the education company was trying to build a model that was solely focused on STEM, and they were grounding the model just on STEM and STEM related courses. So
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
when somebody went into the model and searched for arts or music, they didn't get a result. So that was not really a complete use case when you're trying to solve for interest all the way to like what a student can pursue, right? So it was pretty singular in that regard. So
Sure.
that's what I was meaning there.
Thank you. You really clarified everything. Thank you.
No, happy to. Any other folks? Anything else that piques your interest? Okay, as thoughts come up, we'll keep going through this, and I'll keep sharing more. So, Mercedes-Benz is another one that peaks. So I had the opportunity of working with them to bring AI to cars. So Mercedes is now using AI across the, navigation systems. You can interact with it like your own personal assistant, but it's also getting e-commerce abilities to come in as a smart sales assistant. Now this business, of course, like known brand, been in business for a long time, wanted to test something very quickly. So we very quickly went from testing it out across one model in a period of 30 days, and it was the same thing. Let's build it. Let's get the agent to respond to basic queries. Basic queries could be as simple as get me the direction from point A to point B, find me the shortest path from my home to my office, and show me where the next gas station is. This is all we built for in the first week. Next week, we tested that out then across 20 customers. We got feedback, and then we went in further into testing mode because we weren't happy with the speed of the response or the accuracy at that point. And this I'm talking about early like 2021. After it was tested across customers, we had validation points. We then scaled this out across one segment, and then that scaled out to the entire company. So what I'm saying is, and why I wanted to bring this example was, even a brand like Mercedes started small. It started by one search query. It started by solving a problem for finding the shortest path from point A to point B just by a voice command. That information was always there on Google Maps, but they started small. So when you're thinking about your use case, no idea is big or small. Think of it and break it down into bite-sized chunks. The other one that I wanted to talk to you all about today is Newsweek. So Newsweek's truly changed the way consumers search on their website. And I want to take you all to their website to see what that experience looks like. So bear with me as I navigate Zoom and show you the right page. So give me a second. I stopped that screen share and I want to show you the window. There you go, Chrome tab. Are you able to see,
Yep.
everybody able to see my screen? Excellent. So there's a little search bar on the right here. So I'm just going to click on that, and that's the AI enhanced search on Newsweek. I'm going to go in here and ask this search page. So this is a news website, right? So this basically has information for like years on end. They wanted to change the way how users were searching on their website, because when you see the home page, you have a whole bunch of different options of news, but you might not want to read all of it, right? News can be jarring for different reasons. So you want to be able to find news that is relevant for you, and that is the personalized experience that Newsweek wanted to create for their users. Homepage had the least number of visitors for them, so they wanted to make this super customized so that consumers can come in here and find exactly what they want. Because if I'm looking for news, I'm not going to search through the page for like 10 minutes and then see, oh, this is something I want to read. Nor am I going to have the time to read everything that is on their website, right? There's just so much going on. So I want to search for what's relevant. And right now, what's top of mind for me is, getting out of Halloween, now going into Thanksgiving. I want to know more about vegan recipes that I can try for, there you go, vegan Thanksgiving dinner. And they've got all of these vegan related queries for Thanksgiving particularly. So all I had to type was just vegan, and then they showed what was most relevant. So right here, it's summarizing and is showing me using the Google Summarize functionality how the diet preferences have changed, how chefs are now thinking about preparing vegan alternatives as well. And if I can click and hover here, it gives me the specific and most relevant results based on the topic that I'm looking for. Now, Newsweek wanted more information. So they wanted to see more relevant articles and related articles listed out here as well, which is what we have. Now, since we have this functionality, they are seeing a significant increase on the way consumers are spending time on their website, the number of consumers that are coming to their website as well. Because when you look at a typical news website, you see tons of information blocks. I don't want to always read about what's happening in politics. I want to know more about what's happening across the nation, across the tech companies, so on and so forth. So I can have a more personalized page as well. And that's now possible through some of the functionalities that I showed you there. Quick thoughts, quick questions on this before we go any further. Is anyone wanting to build a simplified search experience for their business today, like from folks that are on the call?
So are you able to walk us through how to build that?
Sure. It is a combination of different products, Padmini. So how detailed can I go?
I think we're just limited by time, everybody's time, I guess. If you are able to show it in the next probably 5-10 minutes, is that even possible?
Sure. So we might not be able to go into every detail because I have like a couple of other MVP slides as well. But the biggest functionality that we're using here is Gemini search and synthesis. So what I will do is I will link the Newsweek case study that we have, which gives a good detailed view of how this was built. And we can always take follow-up questions as well. So in the interest of time.
Sure.
So
No, thank you so much.
Most welcome. So I've just pasted that right here. So this is, how, and it calls out the stats as well. Yeah. So that's the increase in searches on their website. The article recirculation's gone up as well. All of this was built across different languages just based on a simple Google AI feature, which basically governs how we search internally as a company as well. And it's called Search Assistant. So it's an out-of-the-box solution. You can deploy that in your environment. Nothing needs to be customized, and there is a step-by-step guide as well. And all of it is linked within this blog. And here's the link to the interface as well, Vertex AI. All right. So going back to my example, and this is, you can use the case study link that I pasted there as well.
So I do have a quick question, Ambika.
Yeah.
The way the search results come up in that search, I know there's this new terminology, AEO. Is that what is being used for that versus how you were doing with PageRank?
So PageRank is still relevant. AEO, in terms of the way the pages are indexed, it helps with the optimization, but in this instance, it's all of Newsweek's content. So they have meta tags on their website, and those meta tags are still being used to figure out what would be the most relevant result. And there are page scores that Newsweek has for each of the meta tagged websites as well. So it's still, the onus still lies on Newsweek as a brand to index their data, and we're just querying and calling from it. And no data is ever stored. In this instance, it's just queried, called for that search that I just did around vegan recipes. It just called for all of the information around vegan recipes, and the AI assistant knew that it's Halloween's done now, Thanksgiving's coming. So the most relevant order of vegan recipe was Thanksgiving meal. This thing searched at a different point in time in the year could show up a completely different result. So that's how it's factoring in relevance, accuracy, point in time. And there are about like 12 factors that we've sat down with Newsweek and iterated on. Weather is one of them as well. So should it have been raining and it's a cold day, it might give me hot chocolate recipes if I'm searching for a quick drink option. So it completely factors in on all of that. But yeah, to your point, it is still looking at our good old metadata tags. So those are still relevant in this fast
Okay.
as well. That's not gone
Thank
away.
you.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and I think one thing that I'd be remiss if I don't touch on this. Make sure that you're building something, but don't wait for it to be perfect. Perfect does not exist, right? We're on an iteration 10 for Newsweek. We still launch it, we get feedback from customers, we go and tweak it, right? So it's never really a perfect, fully shipped product. It's always an iterative product. So don't let perfect get in the way. And that's where we see most startups and businesses struggle. They just wait for it to be right. And right by who? Like 10 people might think it's right, but the 11th person might come in and say, hey, it's not really for me. And that's okay. Like, there's different things out there. So I'd encourage you all to not be super hard on yourself. Just launch, right? Launch, iterate, get feedback, and every day is a new day. You're going to pick something new for your product, and technology is fast evolving as well. So you're never really going to have the right amount of um, tools in your arsenal. It's always going to be changing. So make sure you adapt to that as well as we go on. In terms of tips for launching, I mean, start by building your own landing page. Use your low-code tools out there as well. There's a whole host of different options available. I've just given a screenshot of a couple that are most used. Make sure, when you start by building your landing page or your business digital storefront, it'll give you a lot of ideas on how you want to be perceived as a company. It'll give you a lot of ideas on what you actually want the end user to do. And even if you're using like digital visualization tools like Canva to build that landing page, it gives you a decent idea of what that customer flow looks like, right? So those fundamental principles have not gone. They're still there even when you're building in an AI world. So make sure you're harnessing that. Your low-code solutions will just make your life easier. Not everybody has to have a PhD in computer science today. World has become a playing field. So make sure you're using these low-code solutions and options to build for a smarter and easier and a more agile framework for your company as well. This is something that it can be a bit controversial, but buy a solution, that has already been built, and see what that could potentially play like. So if you're entering a field that has been disrupted before, you have an option to pick from and make that better. And don't think that you have to build everything from ground up. Use something that has already been built. This is true for your AI models as well. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all of the AI models have something called as a model garden and model library, where use cases have already been built for. Make sure you're spending time there. You're going to save months of testing time with an AI model, not to mention the cost that you're going to incur if you start to build a model from scratch, right? So most of the solutions that are even receiving some search traction online have been built for, and they are in a model garden. So make sure to check that out. Focus on the core features and benefits of the product. What do you want that business to do? What do you want that website to do? That's more relevant now than ever before. Excuse me. Businesses are trying to put a band-aid of AI and try to AI-fy everything, but some things are still best left in its core functionality. You don't need AI functionality across every single option. So make sure you are zooming in on what are your core and fundamental features. What does that look like in an AI world, and what does that look like in a non-AI world? And you'd be surprised the number of companies that try to build complex AI chatbots and agents, while in reality, what did they need? They just needed a linear regression in a spreadsheet. So you don't need to overcomplicate your solutions. Try to keep it simple there as well. I would encourage you all to make sure that you have enough and more time to read your customer reviews. What happens we see these days is that, yes, they had an AI bot send out surveys to a whole host of different customers before launch, but nobody actually read them, and they relied on AI to summarize the same features as well. And sometimes that was fantastic in getting the right sentiment analysis and scores, but the other times it just needed a person to actually go in there, reach out to customers, and have a one-on-one experience there as well. So depends on what scale you are. If you're going from 0 to your first million, go in there and read the feedbacks, reach out to the customer, set up one-on-one calls. If you are in that mode where you're scaling beyond your first million, that process might look very different, where you could automate some of those functionalities, because now you're starting to see some trends and patterns in data. So you can choose to iterate and test out in different ways depending on your business stage. Try out an evaluation, EVO. So EVO in this instance is an evaluation framework, which basically simplifies how you check if something is working or not for your company. E stands for what's essential. V stands for how valuable is that for your customers. And O stands for, is it an optional solution, or is it going to be imperative to that design process? If you focus on those individual features that you're trying to launch more closely, the important ones will become must-haves. And you'll figure out what are less desired, and you'll be able to quickly clear out the clutter and deliver effectively. When you are leveraging existing technology, there are many ways to go about it. You can find your quickest shortcuts. You can use existing solutions. You can use existing technologies that have been built for it. Or you could totally use the open source libraries that are available at your disposal for cloud services. APIs, there couldn't have been more examples for APIs than the ones that we see today in this AI centric world, because an API and a connection point has to be made for almost every solution today. I think Evan has a question. Evan, I saw your hand up. Do you want to come up here and ask it?
Yeah, real quick, Ambika. When you're talking about using existing code, let's say one client is building a B2C MVP, and they may do it in 30 days or something, but then they want to completely change and go to B2B. So is it easy just because you did something in one market? Is it easy to do you see that as a whole redesign? Because B2C and B2B are two different things, but they want to use the same code for both. And I'm saying maybe they're missing something, right?
Yes. And I mean, see, you're absolutely right. So it could mean a variety of different things. And let's take a step back, right? So Newsweek, I'll take that example itself. They launched in the US with certain code. They wanted to relaunch this across their global audience with the same code as well. But you couldn't really do that because you wanted to look at the different ranking methodologies, which was different for a different market. So you can use parts of the code, but you have to apply the right judgment for that market. In this example, when it is B2B and B2C, what might be similar is just the way the data is pulling from your backend, or the way your model is evaluating certain data sets. But what might have to change in this, and I think ideally will have to change in a B2B to B2C, is what does that product purchase cycle look like? Or what does that solution purchase cycle look like? And that'll be fundamentally different, for which you will have to tweak your code. So I think what would be beneficial in this exercise, Evan, would be to look at what are the static components of the website and what are the variable components of the website. For the static components of the website, I would then look at what does the B2B user flow look like, and then what does the B2C user flow look like. After which I would then apply judgment and look at what does a local market experience look like and a international market experience look like. Once you break that down into a tree structure, you will then be able to drag and drop code, but the code will have to be stitched, which will be a completely different process itself. So I would not recommend a B2B and a B2C experience to be identical, while in reality I would break it down to figure out which elements actually still communicate the bigger picture in that way. Does that help, Evan?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Uvika.
So you mentioned about looking at Model Garden, Vertex AI, so and to select models, and there are tons of models out there. Are there any tools and frameworks that people can use to compare models across like different dimensions, especially around like fairness, bias, and it would matter most, right? Because if you're looking at certain customer and depending on the use case it is, and if it's like a regulated industry, you want to be like very careful, right? So do you have something like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you see my screen now, so I've toggled on to the model garden on Vertex AI. See, this is going to be a Google centric page. Amazon's going to have their version of this. Microsoft's going to have their version of this. But what I do want to encourage, like everybody spend a couple of minutes on, are the foundation models, right? So you've got different foundation models for different needs. You've got a foundation model that talks about video to text, text to video, speech to text. You've got natural language processing models, vision models pre-trained on a variety of different data sets as well. Each of these links will take you to the model and it'll show you what it's compliant on, specifically for the regulated industries. You do have specific ones that you can go and fast track your journey if you are a startup, and there's a whole program with benefits as well, and you can get up to $250,000 in credits, along with like personalized model evaluation guides for your business. So it's going to look very different for a retailer, a legal firm, a hospital, all the way up to like maybe even a high school. And all of those evaluation frameworks are shared as a part of this AI startups program. But foundation models, I think it's good to start here. This would be the page that I would point you to.
Amazing. Thank you. And you're right, like everybody has different, because we've used Microsoft Azure AI Foundry, and there we can have these leaderboards so we can see how they compare, and Stanford has Helm. So this is good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is definitely a Google friendly version of it. And instead of like going through all of the research, if you just like hit apply to the program, you'll actually get a person to walk you through it. And it's more of a hand-holding step-by-step process on, okay, you're trying to build X, here are some credits, let's walk you through how you build it, and let's connect you to similar people in that field who are probably experiencing similar challenges, or have solved it even, right? So they have these regular connects happening across all cities in the US and internationally as well. The same program scales globally. And I like the peer-to-peer connection points where they put you in different cohorts and you can rotate your cohorts, because you get a lot of value just by discussing. They try to solve this and they did it by the chirp model, but they didn't actually use the image recognition model, and here's why, right? So I think those anecdotal reference points save businesses a lot of time and money.
Very helpful. Thank you.
And Ambika, the model evaluations that you said, that is what we call evals nowadays. Those frameworks is what is also part of this, right? That you
Yes,
talked about.
that's a part of it. Yeah. And it is done at different stages of the startup. So, when you go into when you click on this website and go into apply AI startup benefits, you'd see model evaluations as one of the criteria as well.
Thank you.
Of course. As far as slides go, that's everything that I had there. And I know we've been asking questions, so we can take a pause and take more questions.
I had a question.
Sure.
At the beginning of this, one of your slides was talking about there were like 4 areas, and it was talking about the metrics, making sure you had the right metrics. And my question is, when you were talking about it, it sounded like you were talking about metrics for judging the product. It was a slide making a product hypothesis statement. But I've been in sales for like 20 years, so I think differently as far as I've always been very metric driven, but would you consider the metrics of the outcomes to the business to be more important, or it's not to be considered at this phase?
It absolutely is, depending on what you're building. So if you could tell me more.
Well, I'm building a hopefully a business I've been working on for a couple months. And the parts where I struggle is when things don't go right, because I don't have a technical background. My undergraduate degree is creative writing, and one of my masters is, adult education. I don't have a technical prowess. So when things don't go right, I don't know how to fix it. But what I want to do, I want to see how effective it is. I'm building enablement packages where if someone is going to be working for a sales company, and I'm going to be using mostly Notebook LM for this, it's like knowing your customer, knowing your ICP, knowing your product, but then also understanding how the sales rep learns best at the particular moment where he needs the information. So does he need to hear something? Does he need to interact with something? Does he need to read something or watch something? And so it's getting what you need, when you need it, in the format that works best for you. I don't know what metrics even though I've studied this, it's been a long time. I'm like, what metrics should I be looking at when I'm trying to sell this to companies? Like, how fast their sales grow over a year? Do we give assessments at varying times? I'm just trying to figure that out.
Absolutely. And I think, Tara, like when in doubt there, engagement is something that businesses oftentimes care about. That could mean different things: time on site, time with engagement and learning platforms. The direct correlation to sales made, a rep could be spending a lot more time and interacting with an interface in a different way. So I think interactions and engagement could be a great place in this instance. Now you're also looking at it from a business value perspective. So I mean, you've been in sales for 20 plus years. You mentioned it always is going to go back to a quantifiable dollar value there, right? So for that aha moment, or for people to sign off for more of your product or solution. So I think that is not going anywhere. But I think you would have to look at more upper funnel metrics to create that discovery engagement piece, and then go all the way down in that as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Of course.
Ambika, I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. It's more or less about the right hypothesis. So how are you going to know that you are choosing the right variables? So, because sometimes it's difficult to know if that variable is the right one. Do you have any process on the way of thinking to know exactly this is the right variable I need to maybe to choose in terms of making the right assumptions?
Absolutely. No, fantastic question. And how you would start is, who are you building for?
Okay.
So I would almost, and this is like, call me old school, but who am I building for and who is my customer? I would have that printed out in front of my screen, even before writing any line of code, or even before building anything on my website. I would have that fundamental block be front and center for my company. I'm building for a customer who is having trouble shopping online. That's my customer. I want to make an easy website for them to shop. I don't want to create a complex design environment. That could be one. And then everything else follows thereafter. So build and focus on the customer, and everything else will follow. So if I am wanting to create a seamless website and a shopping experience online, my hypothesis would be, give me a shopping experience in less than 3 clicks. Can I do that today? If I'm not able to do that, then that's probably not. Or if I'm not even focusing on making life easy for a customer to shop online when I'm building for the customer, then that's a wrong hypothesis. So keep it customer centric, and all else will follow.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I have actually 2 questions. So first is around data. So we all say no data, no AI. I'm a firm believer in that. And especially with startups, that's always a big challenge, right? Because they don't readily have access to proprietary data sets. Yes, thank God to AI, we have the ability to create some synthetic data. But what advice would you give to startups, right? And especially, again, I work with quite a few startups through the Cornell Tech ecosystem, and some of them may be working in healthcare, and those areas. It's very challenging, right? So what's your advice to startups on how to go about getting access to data? I've given some creative answers like exploring partnerships and stuff, but I'm curious to know, like, what does Google advise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think healthcare specifically, and I mean, it's a challenge just based on the regulations and the PII that comes with it. When I was working with the health tech industry actively in the startup space, certain models get you access to grounded data within Google search. So if they were to use like some of the Google Health related models, which is MedPalm, MedLM now. So that family of models will have access to its first party data, which is not customer data. It is aggregated anonymized data sets there, which give a good testing ground. So that's one. Now the model needs to be specific to healthcare. That is the big criteria that will help zoom in a little bit more on the problem, because it's going to be next to impossible to get data for drug discovery and trial if that's the path that we're going down, and that continues to be a challenge. But the models today are getting very good. 95% accuracy is what they're claiming around cause and diagnosis as well. We've had some very large customers use the model, the Google Healthcare model. MRIOA is one of them, which is Medical Research Institute of Americas. So anytime somebody goes to a hospital, they're touched by this business. So yeah, it's a variety of different companies using it, but I think the medical large language model could be one starting ground.
That's amazing. And then
No, so Uvika, sorry,
Oh, go
we
ahead.
can also use transfer learning kind of, right? Take a pre-trained model and then do transfer learning with a smaller data set on that pre-trained model,
You
right? I
can
mean, is that a possibility?
you can always do that. However, what could be challenging there is the data might not transfer. So the model will learn like to look at certain variables and parameters. But if you want to grow the data set, you will almost need to give it more customer data. So your data set one would have 10 customers. And for those 10 customers, it has looked at age, pre-existing conditions, lifestyle patterns to predict the next disease in that person. But if you transfer the learning from that first data set to your own model, it might look at it for your customer set, but it might not be able to take all of these 5 variables that the first model has taken, because it was specifically built for that purpose. And you might not always know what the 5 variables are as well. So that's where it gets a little tricky, but in theory, it's worth a try.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been telling businesses to try when they have smaller data. Okay. Yeah. No, sorry, Yovika, go ahead.
That's okay. And the second question I had was, I think in the MVP stage, it's great. We have access to all these amazing tools that are out there. And so what advice do you give to startups, especially around data strategy and most importantly, like responsible AI? And I'll tell you this, I've been having some conversations with folks, and just yesterday, somebody told me, and they're part of the ethics and sustainability committee, and she's like, I just moved to California, and as soon as I start talking about responsible AI, nobody wants to talk to me. So, and especially startups get all this pressure from investors, and I know that Google, the program that you were talking about, they get the lofty credits are primarily for those who are a little funded. So there's always this pressure, right? Because the investors want to make sure, like, they're going fast, they're going to grow, they're going to make money. So responsibility is not always on their mind. So how do you advise them to balance that?
Absolutely. No, I think the way I think about it, and it is speed or accuracy or both, right? Like, I mean, you kind of want to have a good balance between the two. And when you're thinking about responsible AI, you can't build for the future without having that as your key fundamental cornerstone. If you're building for maybe weeks or months and you just want to exit, founders, investors will see through that immediately. If you want to build for the future, and if you want to build for us for years to come, and if you're thinking about a scalable practice, um, that's what investors are willing to double down on. And it has to have, like, certain VCs are even looking at responsible AI as a cornerstone in business plans right now, right? So I know Capital GR, Google Business Investment Wing, has responsible AI as a cornerstone for every single business that it looks at from an AI perspective. And trust me, every company applying is an AI company in some way. So that almost has become table stakes now, at least for us. And I know, like, when you find the right, like, company and the right investor for that sustainable future, you always want to be able to build responsibly, right? So, but there's different options out there for everybody. There are investors that don't want that as well. So you choose your pick.
Yes, no, and I'm so happy to hear that. And you're right that some VCs are definitely looking at, and they're asking these intelligent questions, right? That, hey, and but I was talking to a lawyer yesterday, and she was saying the same thing, that because the whole emphasis for startups is that they want to move fast, right? Because things are changing very fast and it's almost like a race. So even when the lawyers tell them that, hey, you need to be doing this as this, for small to mid-size and startups, they have that risk appetite. They're like, you know what, we'll tackle it when we get there, right? And then of course things come to bite them, and we've seen a lot of scenarios. So no, but that's good to know that there is hope.
No, I mean, I think, you got to build it right and do it for the right reasons, because AI laws are being written. Let's be honest,
Yes,
right? I mean,
yes,
those laws are being written. They are customer first. They are for a better, safer future. AGI is a whole different sphere, right? Like, when you go in there, we don't know what we don't know, but there is a lot of exciting things that it can do as well. Healthcare has been disrupted beyond imagination. It always was, like, with robotics and surgery, but now around, like, predicting the next ailment in an individual and helping improve quality of life, like, there's just so much more that's happening there
yeah.
that's exciting. So yeah, I mean, stay tuned for more, but keep doing the right thing as individuals, right? I think, I mean, that's how we build and plan for a better future.
Love it. No, thank you so much.
Of course.
So, anything else? Anybody?
No, this was great. Thank you so much for getting this organized, and it was a pleasure to hear everything that Ambika was sharing with us tonight.
This was
Yeah.
truly fascinating, Ambika. I really had a good time, and this was great. Thank you so much for taking out time. And Ambika, as you meant, you guys heard, right, that she has a really small child. So kudos to you for taking out time for all of us on a Friday evening.
Yeah, same. I wanted to say the same thing. Kudos to you, and hope your 7-week-old has a fantastic Halloween. Thank you so much for doing this.
No, absolutely. I'm excited for what y'all are doing here. So if y'all want to chat more on a specific topic, just as things are changing in this AI world, happy to come back on, share more. Yeah, like I am on mat leave till January, so schedules are a little bit more fluid. Once I go back to, like, Google, and I don't know if I'm gonna have the time. So right
No,
now,
we'd love that. In fact,
yeah.
we'd love a total hands-on session. That's, fingers on keyboard. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But
That's what,
yeah.
honestly, like, I like. I mean, I'm more of a, let's just get into the platform, let's just build it, than slides. Call it like
Love
call
that.
it maternity brain or what, I don't know. Like the slides today was hard.
No, but we may hold you to that, Ambika.
Yeah, we might have you back very soon.
know.
So before you get very busy.
Absolutely. And thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. We're all, I think, either connected one way or another. The best way to reach me is LinkedIn.
Drop your LinkedIn, Ambika, in the
Okay.
yeah. Others also, if you wish, drop your LinkedIn.
Padmini, do you want to close out? Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts, go eat a lot of candy, you know.
All right. Well, thank you
Yeah,
so
so
much.
yeah.
And stay tuned for November updates. Padmini is going to be making a post very soon. We have some exciting stuff coming up. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you for attending.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Thank
Night.
you.
You
Have a
too.
good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.